connect your strengths with your purpose, then it gives you a huge amount of power. The story goes right back to when I was in my 20s, and it was one of my first jobs after I graduated that I really, really loved. I did so well in it. It was absolutely up my street. I couldn't wait to get to work in the morning. And as often happens, even today, I was promoted, but I was promoted into a job that was very, very wrong for me. I was in my 20s then, and it took me a while to discover what had gone wrong. And effectively, I was put in a job where I wasn't playing to my strengths, where I was a round peg in a square hole. That's where the seed of the thought started about what happens when somebody is in a situation which just isn't a good fit for them. So a strength is something that we're innately good at, that we love doing, and that we're energised by. And our strengths include our values, so things like doing the right thing, wanting to make a difference, they're values, they're also our strengths, and our motivations are our strengths. Sports people know this, you know. David Beckham, let's take David Beckham. His football coach clearly knew what his strengths were, knew that he was a really good striker, and they stretched him in the direction of his strengths to make him even better. They didn't say, "Oh, you're a really good striker. You're good at scoring goals. Let's now try and make you a good defender." If we spend most of our energy in the direction of our strengths, that's where excellent performance comes from. And it's also where happiness and fulfillment comes from. The actual book is part of a series, and it's modelled on a moleskin notebook type approach, so it's small, it's light, you can fit it in your bag, and the idea is that it becomes a journal that you write in. And so the format is one that's meant to be useful and alive, and you can keep going back to and adding to. And I don't like writing in books. I've got a thing about, well, books aren't to be written in, but this book is to be written in. My tips are, first and foremost, write about something that really matters to you, because as you know, it gets hard. When you're struggling to find the words, when you think, oh God, I've got 50,000 more words to go, it's hard. So write about something that matters, because that will carry you through. And when you're stuck, think about that big picture. Why am I doing this? In my case, I'm doing this because I know it makes a difference to people's lives. And then my other tip is, find what works for you. Ask other writers. So for me, I got a great tip from a woman called Cheska Major, who writes novels, and she told me about word races. So a word race is when you say, right, it's 1:30, I'm going to have a race with myself, I'm going to set my alarm for 2:00, and I'm going to write as many words as I possibly can in half an hour. And then you stop and you reward yourself with a coffee or whatever. And that's a way of unblocking sometimes and just getting lots of words down. And obviously you go back and edit. But I suppose my number one practical tip for myself, that's worked for me, is I know how many words a book needs to be. In this case, it's 22,000. I know how long I've got to write it. I've got a deadline, and I always meet deadlines. And then I divide the number of words by the number of days that I know I've got available. And I have to hit that number every day. And if I don't, and I often don't, I need to catch up tomorrow or on my next writing retreat. So I think that we are creative beings, but I think you also need that, if you like, the analytical side of your brain to give you a structure and a technique to actually get the words on paper. I think, one of the most important is persistence and determination. I meet a lot of writers, and I go to a retreat where there are other writers, and we talk about this subject, and it's very easy to come up with an idea. Many people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're a writer, I want to write a book." Very few actually do it. So persistence, determination, wanting to make a difference, a love of stories, of course, and a real desire to connect. I think that's probably common amongst writers, and is a good strength for writers, are wanting to connect with people, even though you will never meet them, or you may never meet them.